The 4-year period between 2011 and 2014 were golden years for the world. It was no accident that this coincided perfectly with the presence of Aura. After all, the world was an online game managed by the ultimate AI. Even in CC Corp, this was known only to a limited number of people. From the moment it began, no one fully understood Aura, the omnipresent AI system that controlled the world. The average player would have no way at all to even learn of her existence. Aura had inherited the intelligence of a genius, Harold Hewick, and the beauty of a poet, Emma Wieland. She was the ultimate administrator of the world, and a gifted debugger. And yes, she could behave like a temperamental creator. As the lone deity in the world, Aura would sometimes act impulsively like a fickle goddess. For example, it was Aura's idea, not CC Corporation, to create a replica of the Kite character and use it in a promotional giveaway campaign. She even put the hero of the bracelet in a demo version and returned him to gameplay. As to when Aura disappeared, that can only be determined by examining conditions in the world. Our best estimate is in late 2014. It was 7 years after the day of Pluto's kiss that abnormalities first began to be clearly detected in the world. Time lags and frequent crash servers started to seriously interfere with the game. These problems didn't just cause trouble for the world, they affected the entire network. Load processing increased, and real-world trouble quickly magnified. The Network Market Research Organization, NAB, along with other institutions, investigated the cause. But although they suspected it was due to a new type of virus, one similar to the kind that had caused the original network crisis, they were unable to find evidence of sabotage. That was no surprise. The real reason was simply that Aura had vanished. This alone caused the network to revert to its original specs. It took until early 2015 before executives at CC Corp would come to that realization. And that's how it began. The network, albeit quietly, began to fall into decay, and the world faced its own dark age. As it became less and less reliable, the world soon lost its popular appeal. Aura, the guardian ubiquitous. Only a handful of people understood the relationship between the loss of Aura and the network chaos. The top executives at CC Corp were forced to make a decision. Their plan was to resurrect Aura and bring her back to the network again. But the father of Aura, Harold Hewick, was dead. Therefore, the RA plan, the plan for bringing her back, required a different organization. This was how Project GU was established. Jotaro Amagi and I continued looking for the Morgana factor as part of CC Corp's Project GU. After collecting each epitaph for Skaith, Innis, Magus, Fidhel, Gore, Maha, Tarvos, and Carbonik, we managed to complete 8 epitaph users. All we then had to do was allow the chosen ones to control these epitaph users, then have them activate the RA program that Amagi had created in order to restore Aura to existence. To put it simply, this involved unleashing the immense power of Morgana's 8 phases into the network. However, during preparation for the final stage, I realized that there was something incredibly dangerous that could occur in rebooting the Morgana factor. The use of a power that shouldn't exist, strong enough to revive Aura, the ultimate AI. Doing so could produce giant distortions all over the internet. These distortions were basically anti-existences. They had also occurred during the Morgana incident. Kite's bracelet, given to him by Aura, unleashed a force, and it was this force that created the nightmarish Cubia.
It's not running away.
Fine, then let's settle this.
For just once. I'll stick with you till the end.
If the distortion field produced from a single bracelet resulted in Cubia, there was no telling what the distortion caused from 8 powerful Epitaph users might do. The salvage of the 8 pieces of the Morgana factor would literally become a gathering of the unwilling. Distortions would appear randomly like unwanted tumors. I reported these findings to Amagi and urged him to put the RA plan on hold until my concerns could be resolved. But Amagi refused, saying that the distortion produced earlier was due to hidden bugs in the Herald system. He said the RA program he designed would never allow anything like that to occur. He laughed at my concerns. With our rivalry and the envy of the genius Harold Hewitt consuming him, Amagi began to press ahead with the RA plan at all costs in order to prove his own abilities. I was concerned about the RA plan, so I opposed Amagi's attempts to experiment with his program. Fearing the situation would worsen to a point of real danger, I secretly removed one Epitaph user from the world and hid it in my home computer. This was the Epitaph user integrated with the Morgana factor of Tarvos the Avenger. Without all 8 characters, there was no way the RA program could be activated. But Amagi didn't even bat an eye at the unexpected absence of a key Epitaph user. It turned out that Amagi had secretly constructed a dummy Morgana factor and had prepared his own original Epitaph user as a backup. It didn't take him long to deduce that the missing Epitaph user was my doing. Amagi went ahead with his plan. He proceeded to gather 7 of the potential chosen ones together. Systematically, he matched them up to each Epitaph user. Meanwhile, he used his own dummy Epitaph user to connect to the network and began testing the RA program. This was the high point of Amagi's life. If he succeeded at reviving the ultimate AI, his genius would be considered on par with the great Harold Hewitt. If he could somehow manage to control the ultimate AI, then in the eyes of many, he would even surpass Harold's genius. He was playing with genetics of the unknown, and unfortunately, I knew it was only to further himself. He wished to combine his own mind and fuse it with the ultimate AI. He wanted to become a god inside the network, using the 8 pillars to support him. As a result, Amagi's experiment was anything but perfect. In an instant, the RA program crashed. Suddenly, over 80% of the world's game data was completely wiped out. The minds of all 7 potential chosen ones were caught up in the Morgana Factor's rampage, and they fell into comas. Sadly, Amagi suffered severe mental damage as well. Amagi's experimentation of the RA program ended in failure. I arrived shortly after the RA program went berserk and set about containing the situation. However, I was only able to recover a single Epitaph user from the devastation. The one I recovered was the Epitaph user integrated with the Morgana Factor of propagation, Magus. His experiment having failed, a deranged Amagi caused a fire to break out. The fire spread fast, consuming a third of the CC Corp building, causing tremendous damage. The media was given news of only the fire itself, announcing to the public that several people were injured. Genocide of the unfaithful. What was the reason for this miserable failure? Most likely, it was because Amagi did not approach the world with enough respect. It may also be that the one most cursed by the ghost of Harold Hewick was none other than Amagi himself. Whatever the reason, the RA program's failure and the huge fire that accompanied it caused over 80% of the world's data to be lost. And at the same time, Project GU's research data was also irreparably damaged. GU was suspended, and I took responsibility for the project's failure by resigning from CC Corporation. The World, R2, was released to the public on December 24th, 2015. That day, which became known as Death of a Goddess, must have been bittersweet, even for the players who knew nothing about the disappearance of Aura, releasing the new game barely a year after the unforeseeable data loss. CC Corp surprised even me with their speed. And even though all the graphic data and the battle engine were already up and running upon release, the message text, as well as the core system, must have been hastily thrown together by programmers. They couldn't have had time to properly debug. As a result, R2 was plagued by constant bug issues since day one, and the game had to be repaired and refined through regular maintenance. The majority of the Epitaph users had been lost. The only Epitaph user left to CC Corp was the propagation, It should have been carefully stored by the security administrators who took over the now-defunct Project GU. However, the Avenger, the Epitaph user I removed to prevent Amagi's experiment, was still being kept in my computer. Eventually, CC Corp will become aware of the existence of Tarvos, which contains a piece of the Morgana factor, and that I have it. I'll have to come up with some countermeasures. When the RA program failed, the other 6 pieces of the Morgana factor, having been separated from their Epitaph users, were once again lost in the network's ocean of data. Project GU was gone. Amagi was beyond any hope of recovery, and with me now gone from CC Corp, things will be safe, at least as long as the Chosen Ones don't access the world. If they do, they may unwittingly draw epitaphs to themselves. Then, much like what happened with Sora and Skaith could happen again. In the end, my goal of preventing the birth of Cubia, the anti-existence, can be said to have been accomplished. Having known Harold Hewick, Jotaro Amagi, and the world more intimately than any other, I had one final duty. I had to keep the Epitaph user, Tarvos, safely hidden away. I had to prevent those outside CC Corp from learning about the power of the Morgana factor. However, things had taken a turn for the worse. Ovan. He is the Epitaph user of the Rebirth. Ovan has already started to act. He's assembled a guild. His members include Sagi Saka, Biset, Godo, and finally Shino. The name of the guild is Twilight Brigade. Does he know about Harold Hewick and the Epitaph of Twilight? Where did he learn about it? Does he also know about Morgana and the ultimate AI, Aura? I have confirmed that Ovan's left arm contains indecipherable data. What on earth is it? He has an almost incalculable amount of data capacity within him. Please stop, Ovan. I'm begging you. Everything is Ovan's doing. I repeat, everything is in Ovan's hands. That man will become the guide to an uprising. My little sister, I'm so sorry that my final gift to you ends like this. Right now, it is far too dangerous for me to see you in person. However, I can think of no one wiser than you to whom I can give this journal. I want you to use the character left on my computer. You must use it to access the world. I'm certain it will help to open up a new door for your life. The rest, I can only leave up to you. My wish is that you will walk this path of fate for the sake of your beliefs and for justice. You are a chosen one. We are siblings, with many years between us. I am sure you don't remember me, as you and I parted ways when you were still just a small child. But I remember you, the little girl you used to be. And I know what you've done with your life in the time since. My only regret is that I was unable to see you again. Please forgive me for being unable to watch over you. Reiko. Even though our parents went their separate ways long ago, you and I are brother and sister. And that will never change. Ever. You will always be my darling sister.